Alright, what's up guys? It's your boy Polycap. I'm out here, it's snowing and shit, but gang. So I gotta do this quick because I'm out in the snow and I want to do something different. Yes, it's been a while since I actually made a video, and so where was I? Initially I was trying to do some, what was I trying to do? Oh yeah, I was trying to model systems of organizations around the human body and the levels of the human body. So I'd like to apologize for not making a video for the past month or so. But apart from that, so in the whole month, a lot has happened, and I was going to do a Kickstarter. I was launching the company. I was doing a bunch of things, and so basically, I decided that hey, rather than doing a Kickstarter, I should do like a crowdfunding thing. So I decided to go find some people who really know about crowdfunding. So I found a guy. His name is David. I don't want to butcher his last name, but he's the founder of Silicon Prairie, and what they're trying to do is equity crowdfunding. So for y'all watching this video, y'all for some money, y'all could get some cut of the company. But in the conversations I had with him, I focused my company more. I became more true with myself, and so I'll play the videos of our conversation, both the first one and the second one. The first one will be in this video, and the next one will be in the next video. Apart from that, yeah, polyarchitecture has definitely evolved from being an abstract concept to being a product that I want to build and use. I mean, goddamn, in the past month I also put in my week notice for my job, so officially I'll either be jobless or I'll be working for Polyocracy, whichever way you choose to look at it. Anyways, my ears and lips are freezing now, and I think I should go help these these people over here. But yeah, Minnesota is some shit, ain't it? Anyways, shout out. Oh yeah, that's the swag, and I enjoyed the video. It'll show you kind of the journey that I've been on and what I've learned. YouTube channel. Okay. To kind of document the journey.
Okay. Got it.
And it's also a place where I started. I used to be camera shy.
Yeah.
But I had to get over it because I have to explain what I'm building.
Sure.
And so for me, it's a way to also listen to my thoughts.
Yeah.
To make sure that I'm coherent, that it's making sense, that my thought processes connect.
That's good.
And a way for me to refine and just evolve as I keep going on this journey.
Right.
And so, yeah. So I.
Yeah, but so we can record while it's just you and I, but if somebody else shows up, we might have to turn it off.
Yeah, it's okay. And so I after my first year of college, I realized that it wasn't for me, in the sense that the things that I wanted to accomplish in the real world, I couldn't have found a way to do them through college.
Sure.
And so I decided that, some of the things I wanted to do was, initially, one of the ideas was that I wanted to terraform the Sahara Desert.
Okay.
Given that global warming is only getting worse,
Sure.
and by planting trees in a desert, not only would it give people more places to live, but
Right.
it would also decrease the amount of CO2 in the atmosphere.
Sure. Soil erosion,
Yep.
etc.
Yeah.
Right.
So
Farming is good versus hunting and gathering. I totally understand exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah. So it made sense theoretically.
Sure.
But I realized a few things after my freshman year. One of which, it wouldn't be something that I could do alone. It wouldn't be something that I could.
It's a big idea.
Yeah, it definitely is. And at the time, this was about like 4 years ago. So at the time, the whole cryptocurrency thing wasn't in or big blockchain, for example. The whole blockchain idea wasn't out in the world. So I wasn't aware of such a thing. And so for me, it was I then evolved the idea to
started a project. So I dropped out, started a project, started a few projects actually. One of them was to use 3D printing to print solar cells that I would then use to generate electricity in the desert, right?
Sure.
And so, I was
Which
working.
makes for a very expensive solar cell, by the way.
Yeah, yeah. You know, I was going to try to drive the cost down,
Sure.
and try to do it in Africa where resources are cheaper, labor will be cheaper,
Shipping, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah.
Yeah, locally sourced, right?
Yeah, but the thing I've learned after the first two failures is that hardware is really hard to go into.
Right.
The cost of R&D is just high.
Tooling, die making, et cetera.
Yeah, you know, so prototyping was also really hard. And so that was the first one, and I kind of had to let that one go. And so I decided to pivot towards software. So the third project was called Agri-8, like agriculture and the 8 on it. So like food forever.
Okay.
And so the idea was that rather than starting with the big idea, we should build up to it, right? So the idea was that we should empower farmers who are the small scale farmers. They don't do it in large scale as in the Western world we do it. And so the idea was that to make them more efficient, right? So to provide them with information such as weather patterns, right? So given that global warming and climate change is happening,
Right.
their rainy seasons and just rainfall in general is sporadic. So it was to empower them by giving them that kind of information, weather patterns. The other idea was to give them prices, locations where they could sell their crops.
Yep.
With the more data that we get from them,
Sure.
we would then start asking questions like, what plants do you grow, right? By understanding the plants that they grow, we can understand the fertilizer that they should get, right? So by let's say like in a community, so let's say in a small city, you can get like 100 farmers to sign up to buy fertilizer in bulk,
Sure.
to buy seeds in
Yep.
bulk, right?
Yep. Like a co-op model.
Yeah,
Like
like a
that's
co-op
a co-op.
And so, and even better, we even got a partnership, like a pilot program with a university that can help us get interns to do that hard work for us, to gather
Sure.
the data,
Yep.
to educate the farmers on how to use such a platform. And so on the state side, we also partnered up with a company that uses satellites to tell you the soil nutrients in a certain location, right?
Sure.
So they had never really looked into Africa or inside America, so it was kind of an interesting model for them, and they're like, hey, this sounds like an interesting idea, we'll give it a try. So we decided to give it a try, and so the idea was that we would send out our interns, they would go talk to these farmers, explain to them what's happening. The first thing we would do is start with 200 farmers. The USAID, I think it's they have a partnership with the university back there where they fund this project where they're studying 200 farmers. So we decided to piggyback off them and to kind of still work with those 200 farmers,
Right.
learn about their planting life cycle, learn everything from them, and engage with them in this pilot program. It would be a good way for us to learn from them, but also build a software with the user we had in mind talking with us, right?
Sure.
And so that project, I had to step back because I didn't have the same vision of how it was going to come to fruition as my other co-founders. So they wanted to go with the agribusiness route, right? So we would first sell it to agribusinesses and then sell it to farmers.
Sure.
Because these farmers are usually hired by a larger corporation,
Yep.
and they give their produce to that corporation,
Yep.
right?
Contract farming.
Yep. And so I wanted, that's kind of where the disagreement came in, because I wanted to help the small guys and not the big guys, right? And at the time I was a bit naive, and I wanted to help them. I mean, 2 cents a day from an African farmer isn't that much, but it would be enough. We would grow and get that out of just not Kenya, but all the other 50-something countries in Africa. It'd be a good place for us to start. We would learn about the soil structures too, about farming methods, and then we can move towards the increasing the size of the Sahara Desert from the outskirts of it rather than starting in the middle.
Right.
And so that project, I had to step back from it because it was either I broke apart that whole project and decided, hey, all right, this is not working. We have differences in vision, but if I truly wanted to help people, I did just let them go on with it, and I found something else to do.
Sure. Because you don't want to compromise your principles.
Yeah, definitely. And so it was over that year that I took 3 months off trying to start any project, trying to think of any project, because to me I felt like I'd lost something very dear to me.
Yeah.
But I took some time and I realized that, hey, I do this because I enjoy it. I do this because I love to try to help the world, try to make it a better place, try to build solutions that actually go into the real world and not conceptual models that only work in the labs.
Right.
So then I really started thinking about the core problem that I'm trying to solve. And the idea that I came up with, actually it was also at the time when the American election was happening. It was also around the same time Kenya was having its election. Now, unlike the American election, the Kenyan election was a blatant, it was just corruption. From head to toe, you could just tell. They had 2 elections, one in August and another one in October, and it was rigged. Everybody knew it, and right now they're actually talking about they swore in another president with a sitting president. So it's a whole political thing that isn't really working out for them. And so it was also during that time that I realized that the systems that we use to organize ourselves have been around for 2,000 plus years. When we talk about democracy, when we talk about monarchs, oligarchs, all these ocracies have been around for a really long time. And they've really not evolved much. I mean, we have representatives now instead of coliseums where we all meet and talk about these things, or in a different light. So
what is the problem that you want to solve?
So the problem is self-organizing towards creating solutions that impact the world in a positive way.
Okay.
And so I decided that, hey, I can't solve all these problems alone, climate change, all these things. So I should build a platform in which people can self-organize to solving those problems and getting the credit towards those solutions, right?
Okay.
So I have a website that kind of talks and shows this better.
Okay.
But the idea is that I took the concept of the innovation cycle, right? From a problem to a scientific exploration. You take that scientific exploration towards a technological research. You take that technologies that you researched on and build in a lab, and you start building products from them. And then from those products, you move them to the market transition, right? And so the idea was to take that and put it in a blockchain kind of thing, right? Eventually, I would want to.
And what does the blockchain do for you?
So it would, I wanted to emphasize on social contracts.
Okay.
I wanted people to be able to make social contracts with each other in the same way we have a social contract with state governments.
Okay.
I would basically come to you and I'd be like, hey, let's form a contract. You are an investor or an inventor or something, and I'm an engineer or a marketer or something. And so we would agree to working on this project. Let's say it's printing solar cells or any idea that you have, right?
Okay.
And we would work on it together. We would talk about the percentages, all that kind of stuff, and it would be embedded in the social contract, the contract of the blockchain. And that would be stored on the whole blockchain.
Right.
The good thing about that,
you're talking about having people collaborate, and you're having the contract act as the evidence. The contract's not going to execute and do anything, without the people doing the actual stuff.
True.
Right. So again, I come back to what is the purpose? Again, trust me, I get blockchain technology, and I know that I know when and where it can be applied. I just want to understand the problem you're trying to solve first, and then let's figure out the right kind of tools to potentially solve the problem. So what I've heard so far is you want to create a system that supports self-organizing groups of individuals, of like-minded people that want to solve real-world problems.
Yep.
Right. So it's a social platform that, in theory, has some sort of reward mechanism built into it for doing good deeds.
Yep.
Right.
All right. So I'm gonna refer to my notes,
Okay.
so I don't butcher this.
That's okay. Well,
And so, so the problem I'm trying to solve, it's exactly that. It's to self-organize around either projects, communities, or organizations.
Sure.
I want people to also own their work that they do.
Okay.
I want to redefine how people think of work.
Yep.
In the sense that it can be a 9 to 5, but it should be a 9 to 5 to something that you are passionate about and you have a stake in it.
Sure.
Like actual percentages of the company. If this
Sure.
thing fails, well, you don't have food to eat. You know?
Right.
And those projects should also be rooted in solving a real world problem.
Yep.
And so,
So what is the reward mechanism and how does it get monetized?
okay, yeah, definitely. So the reward mechanism, let me pull up my website because I worded it better on there.
Okay, that's fine.
Than if I was to spontaneously do it.
Or if you just want to tell me the address, I can look it up too.
Yeah, it's polyocracy.info.
Polyocracy. Okay. Raising humanity's conscious awareness. Okay. Click on the Y.
Yep.
Okay.
And then click through the vision, kind of explain the vision a bit. But
Okay. The how.
Yep, go to the how.
Is this a WordPress site?
Squarespace.
It's one Squarespace. Yeah, that's all right. So propose, let's see, purpose, build a utopian future. Social solution, centralization, right, democracy, projects architecture. What do you want me to look at?
Go to here. Let me be on there with you. So you asked. Yeah, I just connected.
Oh.
Something. Do I have to print it if I'm on it?
No, that you just print another name tag.
Okay.
You want to get on the Wi-Fi?
Yeah. It's
The instructions are on the sheet here. That's Wi-Fi.
so. Sorry for the wait.
That's okay, I've already breezed through it here. So fundamentally, the way that we've got, I don't know if you're aware, we've got a business plan competition going on called thebigidea.com. So if you go to thebigidea.com, you can read about it. And so we're interested in looking for big ideas. And so we take the entrepreneur or the startup through a process that helps them build a team, and that can be either open positions that you haven't filled yet or people that you're going to collaborate with. We then walk you through a 10-question slide deck, a pitch deck, to help you frame up your narrative. And then from there we can take and extract that into a business plan, a 10-page business plan for you. And then during the process and the journey, you build a crowd of people that are going to come back to help you refine your message, give you feedback, and then potentially upvote your plan to win the competition, which is then the grand prize is you get free legal and crowdfunding to try and raise money for your idea. So I looked at your process and flow, and so I wanted to call attention to that because I think that at least you can use it privately. You don't have to be public. You don't even have to enter the competition. But I think that our method might help inform the way that you present your idea as well as the way you think about it. open. So our process is, and this is true of all kind of crowdfunding, is that we ask our potential, clients, okay, what problem are you solving? Right? Particularly what problem you have, right? Tell us how people are already solving that problem, right? How are they already satisfying their unmet needs, right? Then hey, morning Jade. And then so, okay, tell us what the problem is. Tell us, how people are already solving, including doing nothing, right? This is, your competition, right? And then we want to know, after that, we want to know what you're doing different, right, to solve that, to satisfy that need. We then want to know how you're going to approach that existing base of customers to make them aware of, to potentially switch to your solution, right? Then we want to know what your one-year goal is, and if you understand what break-even is, right? So, again, an investor wants to know, right, when will you stop bleeding cash and start making money? So we want to get entrepreneurs away from thinking about, these hockey line, this is why I suddenly make lots of money, right? Because they're fantasies. You're likely going to pivot your business model in the first year, and if you don't pivot, you likely, the statistics are against you, you will go out of business, right? You evolve or die. So I think this tool might be helpful for you to frame up your narrative in terms of how you're approaching your pitch, right? What problem are you solving? What are people doing already? What are you going to do that's different? How are you going to get to them? Right? What's your one-year goal? When will you get to break even?
Okay, all right, so go.
Got it?
Yep, got it. So, what is the problem I'm trying to solve? At the core of it, it's to enable people to self-organize into projects, communities, and organizations that they get credit for the work that they do in them.
Okay. And when you say credit, what do you mean by credit? Is that financial compensation? Is it kudos and high fives? Or
It comes in financial compensations.
He's recording that. I just want to get that.
So it's definitely financial compensation. So, and other things such as like credit or karma.
Hi,
Jade, nice to meet you.
You sure that's me?
And so,
the guy has actually open, already wired up to it, so you can keep that all like that. It should be unlocked.
all right, yep. So
you want to create a platform, right, for people to self-organize spontaneously, right? So there's a marketing component. People have to be made aware of the platform, right? You've got to give them a reason to come to your platform anyway. And so you want to create a platform where people can spontaneously self-organize to solve some common goal problem that the group of people have from a stakeholder or shared interest standpoint, and then create some sort of financial incentive mechanism for them to be rewarded for doing that work.
yep.
Okay? And where's that financial incentive? How does that get created in the process?
So
Is it the result of somebody solving a problem and then they win a prize, or they create a company that then goes on to generate revenue that then comes back and pays the founders?
So actually, I have kind of a mock-up that I've worked on that sort of really does actually make this a lot simpler. So there's a problem in the world, right?
Do you HDMI to just put on a big screen?
No, not with this
Okay.
one. It's
Okay.
small, tiny.
Got it, okay.
And so there's a problem, and it can range from a local to a regional to a national to a continental to a global problem.
Sure. Okay.
I'm into global problems, so you pick any of the global problems you want.
Sure.
There'd be a lot of machine learning that kind of goes behind it too, but the idea is that you start with a conceptual solution. So a user can come on here and say that, hey, for this global problem, I have this conceptual solution. So there'd be a list of them, but I wanted to show an example of one, how it would look, right?
Sure.
So they would talk about the schematics. Obviously, there'd be criteria to this that they'd have to meet. People would be able to vote on this too, to make sure that, hey, if this is something that a lot of people vote for and agree on it, then it can move on to the next phase. If the conceptual solution makes sense, they can move forward with it.
And in order to vote, you have to be a registered user of the system, and so you only get one user, one vote, or okay.
Definitely. And so the other thing I kind of want to mention is that specific users, so the conceptual part of this platform, they don't make money from it unless you have a certain level of credibility.
Okay.
So that's why there's the money sign here and the stars here that shows that he has given enough conceptual solutions that ended up working out, right? So once you have a conceptual solution that a lot of people have voted on and a lot of people agree upon that it's feasible, then you move into the scientific exploration phase.
Right.
And so there's institutions such as colleges that do this kind of thing, there's companies that do this kind of thing, and it's a whole spectrum.
Sure.
But the idea is that they would post their solutions on here, and they would be able to generate money from it. They would also be able to...
Assuming that you can somehow capture them. I mean, so if you publish it, people can, of course, just take the ideas and you know.
Yeah, that is... So it's interesting how research sites kind of handle that. So if you don't sign in, you won't be able to see the technical papers. So I was thinking of modeling this phase, this part, with as other research sites do it. So I took these from research sites, and they all give you a snippet, but they don't tell you the actual thing.
You get the abstract.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so the verified symbol basically says, hey, they verified that they're part of. They gave us access to this, right? So we're not using a web crawler or anything like that. The other idea is that this represents social contracts, right? So people can be able to make a social contract with the company or the organization that made this research, saying that, hey, if we use your research to create a product, these are the kind of terms that we can work on, right? So I use your research and you get paid for it. So let's go with this one. So it's solar energy for desalination.
Yep.
And so the idea is, in that paper, they talk about a lot of different ways on how to generate fresh water from solar energy and that kind of stuff, right? So they have their technological research kind of done, and which is interesting, right? So the idea, you still want to solve a problem. So you pick one of the technologies that you think fit with the problem you're trying to solve. So it brings you to the product development where you have a list of companies or projects that are working on that. So these are two example companies that either sell parabolic truck mirrors, or they sell entire systems of smart energy systems, right?
Okay.
So
And they're paying you to be listed on the platform, or are you just voluntarily listing them, or?
So I would hope that they'd pay me to list them on the platform, because this is a sense of it gives them a new market for them to get money from.
Okay.
Because the way I'm trying to position this whole project is that it is for social good, it's going to help the world make it a better place,
Right.
And so you come here and you're like, okay, let's go with these guys, right? Or you can build your own, but we'll get into that later. So you come here and this is the market transition, where you can basically buy this technology and install it to a market. So the market goes as, is it a local community, is it a state, is it a county or a country, or is it a continent, And based on whichever one you pick, you have to have people vote on it. So this represents the voting, and this, kind of a way to authenticate them, right? So that only one person has one vote for that.
So let me just walk through this. Okay, so let's say that, I want to do a desalination project in my local town or whatever, right? I'm on the coast or whatever, and so I'm on this site, and I became aware of this because I have a bunch of friends that say, hey, let's go check this out, let's see if we can upload this thing. I go through a catalog of potential solutions. I pick one, which is a vendor product, and now there's some additional voting that happens on that, or how do I acquire the product, and how do I get paid, and what's the benefit for even being on the site in the first place? Right? Because I'm hearing a lot of pro-social stuff, but I'm also hearing an Alibaba-like marketplace where you're basically acting as a front end for potentially vendor solutions.
Yeah. So the idea was that I wanted to, initially, the first iterations of this idea was to get rid of politicians. Because,
Good luck.
I know. So that's why I had to pivot a ton. But the idea was that they don't represent truly what we want. And so I wanted to give people the ability to represent their own views on how they wanted the world to be.
Sure.
And so I wanted to create a platform where they would be able to vote, and that vote would be able to count on the social good of the community, the region, the province, whatever.
Sort of like an e-democracy sort of thing?
Yeah, so like an electronic way to democratize democracy, right? And so when it came to projects, specific things, because politicians pass policies, and those policies turn into companies, and those companies solve a certain problem, right? So if they make a certain policy that hurts a certain sector, then companies are not likely to flourish in that zone. You know?
Well, somebody, I mean, most of the political process is about the reallocation of resources.
Yeah, and I don't, just my personal belief is I don't think policies generate businesses.
No. They can certainly, policies can encourage business development. That's why we have things like tax incentive zones, TIZs, and jobs and stuff like that. But
Just philosophically,
No.
I don't think policy leads to business.
No.
I think if people are looking to better themselves, and then they have a business.
yeah, so that's why I'm trying
Policy
to encourage him to potentially take this. And so I'm not, I mean, I'm happy to keep, you're the only person here, so I'm happy to keep, entertaining you. That's fine, exactly. Well, we actually do have a hard stop at 11:30.
Yes.
But anyway, so I'm intensely curious, what can we do for you?
So I'll work on those things that you told me. I definitely don't have a good structure on how I pitch this.
Yeah.
I definitely have to refine it a lot better. I mean, I was stuck in a basement for 9 months trying to work on this.
Sure.
So I haven't talked to a lot of people who are well versed in this area of things.
Sure.
I mean, my mom and coworkers are not people who understand blockchain.
They think you're amazing, whatever you're going to do.
So is blockchain involved in this somehow?
Well, that was a piece of it. He was trying to
Okay.
describe about potentially using blockchain as the means for either having these smart social contracts and/or / the reward mechanism. Or I was trying to tease it out. So before we start jumping into the solutions, I want to know what the problem is.
Yeah,
right?
absolutely.
So what I heard was he wants to create a platform that people can self-organize around causes that they care about, and then somehow get some sort of benefit, some reward financially for being involved in solving those problems. Which is what I've heard, what I've distilled from what he's told me so far. Is that an accurate statement?
Where does the reward come from?
That's what we're trying to get to. That's what I was trying to drive down to. How do people get rewarded for actually doing these proofs of work, if you will?
Yeah, you get to own a piece of that desalination.
That's what I was trying to drive to. So that if somehow but just because you voted this thing in, someone has to pay for that thing to get implemented and operated.
And to pay for the reward for your time.
Yeah, and so just because you think, yay, I want
So
fresh
is it
clean
for like
water.
government grants or something? Like
I don't know
So
where the money flows.
I can answer that. The idea, the reason why earlier we have social contracts between people is because they agree that by you using this research and my research being used in creating this product, when the product goes to market, the money that's made from the product will automatically get sent out to all the individuals who help build it. So that's
But I mean that gets done through formation of entities or corporations or co-ops, right? So just because I say, hey, we should use this desalination thing or whatever, someone's got to pay for it and operate it
and own it
and
maintain it.
Exactly. And
install
so
it.
how do I get rewarded because I upvoted? I want clean water.
true.
Right.
I think you brought up a good point earlier. Just because this software would exist does not mean people would actually solve anything. It's actually by doing the hard work of doing the research, building the solutions, installing them, that value is created, right? So the way I would skew the algorithm, it's that it would reward people more on the actual hard work of it and not the conceptual solution.
Based on how you measure the work that's done.
So I haven't really.
I mean, working hard doesn't mean you can push on a boulder all day long, but if it doesn't move.
Active
that's
versus
not
productive.
That's not technically work, right? I mean, the work is defined as, weight
Equals
times
something
movement,
done.
right, and distance, right?
Yeah.
Weight and distance is the classic work formula, so. I'm trying to help figure out, again, what problem are you solving? What are people already doing today? What are you doing differently? How are you going to make them aware of your better solution, right? What's your 1-year goal? Do you understand what break even is? What's going to take for you to get break even, right? Because, right, hosting websites isn't free. It's nearly free,
Your time
but
isn't
your
free.
your time is not free,
Sure.
right?
Yeah, that is true.
And so that's why, we look at this as, we're trying to find, investable ideas. We want to help people find and build crowds that believe in them to bring new things into existence. You might have a great product, but you might have a terrible business. You might have a passion play here that, you might be better off by working with a nonprofit organization and aligning and working from inside of an existing entity.
Yeah, like, if it's grant-based, if this is trying to figure out how you get grants, distributed more effectively than right now how they're being done, maybe that's the thing, but I'm
Right.
not in that space
Yeah.
again.
Or if, if they ultimately, because the money comes from being a manufacturer's rep in the green space or in the eco space, right? You partner with them to socialize their products, and then you get a commission essentially on those sales.
And then at the same time, like, let's say we're doing the parabolic solar, whatever,
Yeah.
arrays, you would, on your platform, have to have multiple places where that is the solution, right? And then those projects would all be competing against each other, and you would still only sell one.
No, I'm not even we haven't gotten to that point yet, right? So all I've heard so far are passionate people who care about things and upcoding, and then magic money shows up.
And people putting work into write up a project with people that they have never necessarily worked with before.
Right. And how do you know
That
what
are
contribution,
self-assembled and
the contribution to
At a
that.
voluntary
Right.
place.
Again,
I was an analytical chemist, so I'm familiar with like research papers and how
Sure.
you have to, like, people get pretty serious about who's first on the paper, and
Right.
and then like the subscriptions you have to have in order to read all the NCBI, so you can read the full paper instead of just the abstracts. And like, I think that there's a Google engine now for research papers.
Well, and
so are these for papers that are below that level of scrutiny?
No.
Okay, this is for peer-reviewed.
Yep. So,
Okay.
yeah. And the idea was that every single person who works on either it's the scientific part or the technological research, it would ideally, so the way I'm explaining this concept is if everything was super good and humans were all generous and nice and loving. And so the idea was that it would track what they do. So you would have to upload the files or the schematics or whatever you did that shows the proof of work, right? So the concept was having a proof of work embedded into the software that enables for that.
How do you value that though? How do you know that I have ownership of that? If I'm just uploading, JPEGs of kittens to the site, right?
Well, let's look at counterfeit IP.
Yeah.
So right now we have this patent system to protect people's intellectual property. And if you upload your stuff to Singapore and it magically shows up in China and now they've copied your entire car.
Yeah.
So
do you have like an iconic use case or example in mind, right? Just give me a very specific use case. So tell me a story about, right, how you think you or somebody would use this platform.
Yeah. So the use cases that the one that I have in mind that I always kind of tell myself is that I'm in a country somewhere on the planet.
Pick one. Give me a very specific story. A specific story.
Let me care about it. Pego,
I'd say India. So I'm in India, and I want to build a business that generates green electricity, and I can sell that electricity to my small city or my small town.
Okay.
And so I need a platform that would give me tried and proven technologies. Basically, I'd want a platform where I can get a franchise that's already kind of building their own, in the same way Subway has franchises and people can own specific Subway
You
stores.
want a solar farm franchise.
Yeah, I want a solar farm franchise where I can build and manufacture these solar panels, or whichever way I would think about going about this business, and then I would I'd make money myself, but I'd send some of that money back into the projects that enabled me to.
Yeah, but you made a huge jump there, okay? So
Yeah.
I'm in India and I want to build a solar generation plant so that I can sell green energy to a subscription base, right? Do I own land to put the solar array
Well,
on?
and why do I have to franchise it? Because why wouldn't I just buy?
Right, why don't I just go on the web and just
The-
Google that stuff?
The
and find
vendor
it?
would probably sell me an entire solution, not just the installation alone. Like for something complicated like that, like back in the lab when we bought a new, high pressure liquid chromatography machine.
Sure.
The vendor, they're expensive, so the vendor comes and walks you through. Okay, here's the plumbing you've got to have for that.
Right.
Here's what you got to do with the waste, whatnot. And I
Yeah.
assume for something like solar power installation, they would tell you, here's the cables you got to have in order to deliver the juice and the batteries.
Fundamentally,
you need.
do you have a buyer for the electricity? I mean, getting access to the electric grid and backfeeding energy is not an easy solution, right? We have things in the states that force the utility companies to buy power back from solar and wind
Yeah,
generators.
but just
right?
let's assume that they have a customer.
I'm with you.
Does it need to even be a franchise solution, or do they just buy it from a vendor? So the assumption that you need that the person who wants to build this business of selling energy, let's assume they have a customer and they do want to buy this stuff and have good business reason to, they can just go to a vendor and say, hey, what will you sell me? They don't need to go to a shopping mall for franchises
Right.
for green electricity.
Right.
In fact, I think it's unlikely, just my opinion, for them to think that I need to
Yeah.
go to a shopping mall for franchises for this.
No,
I think that
ultimately, practically speaking, you would, if you want to have it sort of be that kind of commodity thing, what you would have is you'd have single unit family rooftop solar generation for LED lighting in your house, right? And you want to start on a small scale, right? You provide lighting to people that, don't necessarily
yeah,
have
I think
electricity,
they
right?
do that at places.
That's right, no, a ton of people do this. That's what I'm trying to figure out. What's the core business here,
Yeah.
right?
Well, it sounded like it's a shopping mall for franchises for green projects.
Maybe.
So, okay, let me really.
That's what I'm trying to get to the tape. What is the problem? What is the problem today? Not even going to your solution. What is the problem today? You're telling me that people don't have the ability to self-organize around social causes that they care about. Because I'm pretty sure I can Google that and find like 20
Yeah,
platforms.
we're
that do
meetup
that.
right now.
You're at a meetup right now.
They do. I can name a few. There's things like Colony, Backfeed. All these are like blockchain-based organizations. So Backfeed is one that does. It's a social platform where you build organizations and people can like self-organize within them. Colony is something, it's actually kind of really similar to this, where what they want to do is say you're building a rocket ship, right? And you need people to help you build parts of it, right? So you post a job about which parts you need, and
Sure.
people would be like, oh, I can do that. These are my credentials. These are my resumes.
Sure.
These are the people I've worked with
Kind of
before.
broadcast search.
Yeah, and there's another one called Matrix. Now, Matrix uses blockchains in VR to allow. So they focus more on.
I'm pretty sure most of this stuff doesn't actually exist per se. Like these are a lot of like these things.
Up-and-coming projects.
Yeah, these are people that are claiming that they're doing something in the blockchain space, whatever. But if you look under the hood, you're going to find out that there's almost nothing there, right?
Yeah, usually.
So that's why I want to keep. I want to set the blockchain piece aside. We know how to know where and when the utility of a secure distributed ledger makes sense.
Yeah,
Right?
but just adding blockchain to something does not create value.
It does not create
solves
value.
a legitimate business problem
Right.
sometimes.
So that's why we want to dial back to what is the problem.
Yeah.
Right?
So the way I understand the problem is that there's a problem in the world, and there's a point where it gets solved. I want to be able to track that whole life cycle of going from a problem to the scientific, to the technological, to the product development, to the market,
Sure.
and to the point where it's solved. I want to track everybody who's part of that process.
The contributors to the solution.
Yeah, the
Right.
contributors to the solution.
So
And I want
how are you going to
give them-
measure the contribution? Right. So if I come in and say, well, I'm the one that had this idea, so I deserve 95% of the reward. Right. You'd have to have some sort of system in place where the crowd would essentially
Well, I
assign.
feel like the problem of getting credit for your effort is somewhat well solved now between patents and copyrights
Right.
and getting paid for work.
And forming entities and having ownership interests and stakes and clearly
Yeah.
defined by sell agreements,
Like,
et
I
cetera,
don't
right?
know that we're having a problem giving people, credit or compensation for their efforts.
Right, I mean,
That seems like that's a
what
pretty
I don't,
given
what I
thing
don't
to do,
wanna,
like-
what I don't wanna jump to the conclusion is that, you know, he wants to create a platform where magically it just rains money on people that comes out of nowhere.
Yeah,
right?
that doesn't make sense.
So that part, it's kind of where I was trying to couple it with the idea where we have tiers of where this can be applied. Because ideally, if I have a problem and the problem is in a specific place, it's in a specific location, either local, regional.
You've got to come up with iconic examples. You can't keep using nebulous. If you want to communicate, you say, here's a specific example, right? Okay, so I'll just make one off the top of my head, right? Okay, so I want to create rain gardens in my area to clean up the water, the runoff that's coming from, you know, the houses and the streets, or whatever, so that can percolate through the soil so that it doesn't pollute the rivers. Right? That seems like a good pro-social project, right? Is that the kind of thing you think that this platform will help
Yeah.
solve? Okay, so I get together and I start working and I start lobbying. I find a piece of abandoned property, and so I somehow get the city to maybe buy the property, so then we can renovate the property and take the house off or whatever and remediate. And then I get a bunch of friends together in the neighborhood and I sign and say, let's build this rain garden together, guys. And we build this rain garden together, and we get all sorts of native plant species in there that's going to basically help clean up the soil. Who gets paid for that? How does anybody get paid for that other than high fives for everyone for getting it done?
Well,
Unless I buy like a water filtration system from some corporation that's going to help take care of the sludge or something like that from that system, right? Versus like a sand filter type of system, right? I'm trying to have a very specific use case here.
yeah.
Right? So ultimately, you have to have a business that sustains itself because it generates revenue. Now,
Or you can have a nonprofit
I
that
was going to get there.
in.
It can still be. I didn't say taxable. I didn't say profit. I said generates revenue. Or you have a nonprofit, right, that sustains itself by generating revenue and then reinvesting that revenue into projects, etc. So it doesn't have to throw off. So, if you want to play the heartstring angle and you want to make it a pro-social thing, right, you might want to,
All right. So if you've gotten to this point of the video, you probably just watched the whole thing, and you probably saw how they really did grill me. They asked me a lot of tough questions, but I think those were really necessary questions because none of my friends really or family really asked me any of those questions. For me, it's also important that I upload the full unedited version because for future reference, I want to know how far I've gotten. So if you're watching this older polycap, this is who you used to be. This is what you started with, the humble beginnings as they are. But at any length, I hope we made where we were trying to go. And for my dearest viewers, thank you for being on this journey. Thank you for watching this video. Please don't forget to subscribe. Share this with your friends. The same old usual stuff YouTubers usually talk about. The next video will be the next meeting I had with David. And then from there, I'll make a video about updating you on what the new version of Polyocracy is from all these hard conversations and how I answered these questions. But other than that, thank you for watching. Have a good day and stay woke.